Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We have more gaming and PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. If you enjoyed today's video, please show your support by hitting that like button. So, Santa Monica Studio, best known for the critically acclaimed God of War series, is quietly working on its next major project. While official details are difficult to come by, there have been a few hints and updates that give us a general idea of what's going on behind the scenes. And yes, God of War director Cory Barlog is heavily involved. Now, if you're wondering how development is going, Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier recently shared a short but meaningful update. When asked about the project's progress, Schreier said that Cory Barlog's game is the next big thing for Santa Monica Studio, and as of a month or two ago, things were going very well. That's not a lot to really go on, but it's good to know that the project is moving forward smoothly. Barlog himself has been staying fairly low-key about all of this. He hasn't shared much publicly, but he did post on X in March of last year that he's starting to see some early things coming together with what he's currently working on. Again, he didn't go into any specifics, but it's clear that something is brewing and he's excited about it. What's really interesting is that this isn't the only game in development currently at Santa Monica Studio. According to a LinkedIn profile from one of Santa Monica's senior managers, there are actually multiple unannounced projects currently underway. Now that's significant because it shows the studio is growing and branching out beyond just one title. They have multiple concurrent projects that are currently being worked on at the studio. Plus, there was a big hiring push in May with job listings pointing towards a major ongoing production. Now, a common rumor that's been floating around for years is that the next game from Santa Monica Studio might be a science fiction title, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Jason Schreier took to the Reset Era forums to clear that up, saying the idea of a sci-fi project is just a long-standing misconception. In fact, he's now emphasized that the new game isn't a brand new IP either, though it might feel like one. Now that comment has sparked a lot of speculation. It could mean a big creative shift in tone or setting, even if it's still technically part of an existing universe. Or it could mean that it's an older PlayStation IP game that they're currently working on, something that hasn't been out for a very long time, that they're now working on and reviving. It could be something from the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 era. He also made it clear that while fans are curious, he won't be sharing any more snippets of information outside of official reports or articles. So for now, we'll have to sit tight and wait for Sony or the studio to speak up. Cory Barlog's been a driving force at Sony Santa Monica for a number of years now. He started as a lead animator on the very first God of War game and directed God of War 2 in 2007, a brief stint at Crystal Dynamics where he helped with the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot before returning to Santa Monica, and he went on to direct God of War 2018 and then served as a creative director for God of War Ragnarok in 2022. So when you hear that Cory Barlog is leading a new project, it's fair to say expectations are high, and it's why people tend to generally believe that it's some kind of God of War related game. Now, he has a proven track record of redefining what an action-adventure game can be, and fans are eager to see what he does next. The last major release from Sony Santa Monica was God of War Ragnarok, which continued the Norse mythology storyline and wrapped up Kratos and Atreus' arc. And the studio marked the 20th anniversary of the franchise earlier this year by releasing some free bonus content for fans, a nice way to celebrate 2 decades of God of War history. But beyond that celebration, the studio has gone pretty quiet, and that silence is making fans even more curious. With job listings, developer teasers, and industry reporters all pointing towards something big in the works, it seems like we're just at the beginning of hearing what could be Sony Santa Monica's next major leap forward. So we know it's an existing IP, but we also know it's not a new IP that's being worked on. We know the studio has multiple projects underway. You can almost guarantee one of those projects is the next entry in the God of War franchise, so that wouldn't be Cory Barlog's project right now, as that has only recently come out. So I'm going with the assumption that Cory Barlog is working on a classic PlayStation game, something we haven't seen in a very long time, hence the reference that the project is not a new IP, but may feel like a new one, unless they're taking a recent IP and completely revamping or rebooting it. I mean, it could be a God of War spin-off game with maybe Atreus or somebody else from that world, like a Loki, or maybe even a Thor character in the game. So not necessarily a new IP, as it's still in the God of War universe, but it could feel like a new IP because it's a slightly different and revamped setting. I mean, Sony owns several older IPs that haven't been touched in years. Barlog could be trusted with reviving a major one, and some realistic options could be be The Order 1886, a reimagining or a sequel with deeper narrative, better gameplay. I mean, the original game had unrealized potential, and Sony still owns that IP, so that's a shout. Heavenly Sword is another one, a spiritual or direct successor to the PlayStation 3 classic. Ninja Theory did develop the original, but Sony holds the publishing rights. We could get a Resistance or a Killzone. We've had these discussions before on the channel, but I mean, all this right now is guesswork. So guys, let's have some fun with it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think this project that Cory Barlog is working on right now? Let me know in the comments, and let's move on. Sony has officially confirmed that it won't be attending Gamescom 2025. This marks the 6th year in a row that the company has chosen to sit out one of the world's biggest gaming events. The news comes via a statement to German publication Games Witchcraft. And while it's not exactly a shock, considering Sony hasn't had a presence on the Gamescom show floor since 2019, it still has people talking. In Sony's statement, they simply said they have no plans to exhibit at Gamescom 2025. They did, however, mention that fans should still look forward to exciting content and releases coming later this year. So while they might not be physically present in Cologne, it doesn't mean they'll be quiet for the rest of the year. It's also worth noting that Sony will be showing up at the Tokyo Game Show this September, which could mean they're saving some of their bigger reveals or updates for the Japanese market instead. So if you were hoping to try out some new PlayStation 5 exclusives or get hands-on time with any Sony published games on the Gamescom floor, unfortunately that will not be happening. That said, don't count Gamescom out entirely. Even without Sony being there physically, third-party developers will still be showcasing their games, and most of those games will include PlayStation 5 versions. Trailers and announcements made during Gamescom opening night live will still likely highlight PlayStation branding, so the event is still worth tuning into. Sony's absent doesn't mean PlayStation is completely out of the picture, and of course I'll be streaming the event live on the channel, so I hope to see you then. Guys, let's move on. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is once again in the news, this time with confirmation of a physical disc version for PlayStation 5 set to release in October of this year. Now, this confirmation came from the Game Collection, which is a UK-based retailer that's already opened pre-orders. What's not totally clear just yet is whether the physical version will include the full game on the disc itself. Recent Bethesda titles like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and Doom the Dark Ages have come under fire for including minimal game data on their physical discs, requiring players to download most of the game after the purchase. So there's still some uncertainty here, and it's something to watch out for if you're a collector or just prefer physical media. Oblivion Remastered first released on April 22nd in 2025 for PS5, PC and Xbox. And the game is more than just a visual update. The game runs on Unreal Engine 5, bringing huge improvements across the board. And we're talking about redesigned character models, better lighting, smoother performance, and a cleaner, more modern user interface. Dialogue has been tweaked, the world feels more immersive, and several quality of life upgrades also make the experience far more accessible to both long-time fans and newcomers. In fact, the upgrades are so comprehensive that one of the senior designers from the original 2006 version said that this should be called Oblivion 2.0, and that says a lot about how much work actually went into the remaster. The response so far has been huge. Just 6 days after launch, Bethesda announced that Oblivion Remastered had already drawn in over 4 million players worldwide. That's pretty impressive, especially for a game that's nearly 20 years old. It shows that there's still a massive audience for classic RPGs, especially when they're brought up to modern standards. And let's not forget where this game came from. The original Oblivion launched in 2006 on PC and Xbox 360, and it then later came to the PlayStation 3 in 2007. It was a game changer at the time of release, known for its open world, flexible character systems, and massive amounts of content. It also had 2 major expansions, the Shivering Isles and the Knights of the Nine, as well as the infamous Horse Armor DLC, and that kind of kicked off the whole paid cosmetic content trend in modern gaming. So I don't know about you guys, but I probably will end up picking this physical copy up. When the game originally came out on the PlayStation 3, I remember playing and replaying this game for several months on end. I must have sank well over a couple of hundred hours or more on this game. But when the remaster came out recently, I just didn't want to go back in and dedicate all that time to it again. So I've not had the pleasure of playing the remastered version of the game. And one of the things that put me off was also that it was a digital game and it didn't have a physical copy, and I'd much rather have a physical copy. So I am more tempted now to pick up the physical game, provided, and it's a big thing, provided the full game is on the disc, then I will play it later in the year at some point. Anyway, guys, let's move on. It's been a quiet few weeks on the Call of Duty front, and after an initial teaser in June during the Xbox showcase, Activision hasn't really said much about this year's upcoming installment, Black Ops 7. But that silence has left fans wondering, when will we actually see more of this game? Well, now we finally have some answers. Activision has officially confirmed that Black Ops 7 will be shown again in August, specifically during the Gamescom Opening Night Live event, which takes place on Tuesday, August the 19th, which, as I've mentioned before, will be streaming live on the channel. Call of Duty will be part of the main presentation. Now, this update is a little bit unexpected, not because the game is being shown again, but because of how it's being revealed. Over the years, Call of Duty titles have typically gotten their own dedicated showcases separate from major gaming expos. Activision has often opted to hold standalone digital events where they can control the spotlight entirely and give fans a deep dive into what's coming next. This time around, though, Black Ops 7 will be part of a larger lineup at Gamescom, which is a change from how the franchise usually handles things. That could mean Activision is holding back some of the bigger reveals for a later date. It's possible that the August 19th presentation will offer a new trailer or gameplay snippet with a longer, more detailed reveal following sometime in late August or early September, possibly in the lead up to the game's anticipated beta. Even though Activision hasn't shown much since the initial teaser, there are a few things we do know, and they've got fans pretty excited. First of all, Black Ops 7 marks a return to a near future setting, which is something long-time Call of Duty fans have been asking for. After bouncing between modern day and Cold War settings in recent entries, the near future timeline allows for a mix of grounded military action with just enough advanced tech to keep things fresh, without going full sci-fi like some of the past advanced warfare titles. Another major reveal is that co-op gameplay is also coming back to the campaign, which is a big deal. Campaign co-op used to be a popular feature in earlier games, but it hasn't been a consistent part of the series in recent years. Bringing it back opens up new ways to play the story mode, whether with a friend online or possibly even split screen. That's something fans have really missed, and of course, story continuity is a hot topic. Black Ops 6 introduced some new characters and plot threads that many expect to carry over into this new game. It's unclear just how tightly connected the two games will be, but with Black Ops sub-series known for its complex narrative and reoccurring characters, there's a strong chance we'll see some familiar faces here. So far, Activision hasn't officially announced a release date, but history gives us a pretty good idea of what to expect. Almost every mainline Call of Duty game releases in the fall, usually in early to mid-November, and Black Ops 7 is widely expected to follow that same pattern. The game is set to launch across all current gen and last gen platforms. Now, that's a little bit disappointing that it's still supporting last gen platforms in 2025. I mean, is that holding back how the game has been designed for current PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and Xbox Series X consoles? I'm assuming the game has probably been held back in some way, shape or form, especially if it's supporting last generation platforms. Some fans have been wondering why there's such a long gap between the game's teaser and the next big showing. It's been over a month since we saw that first reveal trailer in June, and since then there's only been speculation and leaks, but this kind of rollout isn't completely unusual. Activision tends to space out their marketing, especially when a beta is planned. Instead of dropping everything at once, they build the hype slowly, teasing bits and pieces until the full reveal comes closer to the beta launch. If past games are any indication, we can expect a multiplayer beta sometime in September or early October, giving players a chance to test out the game before launch. There's still a lot we don't know about the game, like a full campaign detail, multiplayer features, and what exactly this return to co-op will look like. But if history is any guide, we'll be learning a lot more as we get closer to fall. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments about the content discussed today, and I'll catch you on the next video.